Bikash Bhattacharya will be isolated or not politically? This is my first question. CPM has to answer why he is cancelling all this list.
But people are accusing you that you are the key man in cancelling the inter-selection process, and for which there are qualified candidates who has lost their job.
Their intention was to diversify the entire attraction from the whole issue to the political issue. If somebody says I'm responsible, I feel proud of it.
There are poor people in our West Bengal. They have come from the farmers' family, labor's family.
That question, I would say the Supreme Court judgment has provided for them.
But sir, at the same time, have you seen the tears of the qualified candidates who have lost their job? They have their children in their home. They have the elder members in their home.
If I put this bunch of biscuit, which is found to be created out of a polluted machine, which one you will identify? This is not what's for taken in, is what's for edible or not edible, how you say? Now then a rapist, his family would come, if I have committed mistake, I have done things, but what would my family survive? This is also then the human consideration.
Why should these people of West Bengal be subjected to such a corrupt process of selection?
Welcome to Janashakti Network. Today we have with us Mr. Justice Ashok Kumar Ganguly and Mr. Bikash Ranjan Bhattacharya, Senior Advocate. No need to introduction any further because all of you know both of them. We'll be discussing a recent judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court by which the Honorable Supreme Court has cancelled the entire selection process of non-teaching staffs and the teaching staffs in West Bengal. Around 26,000 appointment has been cancelled. It has impact on society as well as the in education system. So my first question will be to Mr. Ganguly. Sir, what is your response to the present judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court?
Well, my response is one of dismay and dissatisfaction, because so far as I know, to my knowledge, there has never been a judgment of this magnitude cancelling 26,000 appointments in the education department affecting various schools in this state. The state education system has not suffered such a setback as has been brought about by this judgment. But at the same time, these judgment which have been produced by Supreme Court has a history. This fight was going on for a long time. I think 2016 the selection process was initiated.
Yes.
And after the selection process was initiated, its illegalities were pointed out by those who were deprived, who were the, if I may say so, who suffered the selection process in the sense their merit was not properly appreciated. An ultimate result is this judgment. Prior to this judgment, there was a division bench judgment of Calcutta High Court. That division bench judgment was also pursuant to a direction of Supreme Court. Supreme Court directed the Honorable Chief Justice of this High Court to form a division bench to go into all this integrity of selection process, of this particular selection process in detail. The division bench had gone into it in detail, heard everybody, all concerned parties, and thereafter delivered a judgment. And as far as I remember, in that judgment, the division bench pointed out at least 17 cases of clear fraudulent activities on the part of the selection body. And those things which were pointed out by the Honorable Calcutta High Court Division Bench, were examined by the Honorable Supreme Court, and Supreme Court virtually concurred with them. And some of them I am reading out to you are so shocking, like appointments have been given to persons who are not even in the panel. Appointments have been given to persons who submitted blank OMR sheets. Appointments have been given to persons after the expiry of the panel. Persons placed lower in rank had been given appointment in preference to persons placed higher in rank in the merit list. The merit list containing the marks obtained by the respective candidates had never been published, and so on and so forth. These are all shocking. This shows the Himalayan proportion of the fraud. I'm using this expression considering the findings in the judgment. And the Supreme Court has left with no choice. Supreme Court has considered the law on the subject and has discussed more than 10 judgments and found that wherever there is illegality of such proportion amounting to fraud, fraud unravels everything. Fraud means nothing has happened according to law. The entire selection process is void. Therefore, the Supreme Court has completely cancelled the entire selection. It had no choice left.
So I'll come back to you. My question to Mr. Bhattacharya is, I understand the Supreme Court has justified in its order for cancelling the entire selection process. But people are accusing you that you were the key man, and
he has not cancelled it.
I know, so Supreme Court by his judgment has cancelled
he has argued before a court of law, highest court of India.
So people are saying, sir, that he is the key man in cancelling the entire selection process, and for which there are qualified candidates who has lost their job. What is your reaction?
I disagree with your idea or your comment that the people are accusing me. In fact, I can tell you the larger section of the society has appreciated the judgment and has also supported that the endeavor which me with my juniors have taken to unravel the truth. The first thing is that this narrative attacking me was created by the government, the ruling government, because they thought that this battle, which has a long history, couldn't have been fought by anybody else, according to their estimate. And since I had been fighting this battle consistently without any concession to them, they therefore thought it's better to target him, and particularly when I belong to a particular political philosophy. Everybody knows that I am a CPIM man. Therefore, they thought it would be better if the CPIM and myself being brought together in the same bracket and attack. Therefore, their intention was to diversify the entire attraction from the whole issue to the political issue. That's the reason you say that some of the people are saying that he is responsible. But anyway, if somebody says I'm responsible, I feel proud of it, that I'm responsible to, as I say, the truth has been revealed. Such a huge enormity of corruption, which has been very rightly referred to by the Honorable Justice Ashok Ganguly, such an enormous corruption by the government, particularly in the field of education, probably I have never had seen such a...
In the history of West Bengal education, there has never been
the first time in the history of
such a revelation.
And this, had not the judiciary stepped in properly, then this sort of corrupt practice would have continued without any interruption. And by this process, the generation after the generation would have been taught by underrated people, underqualified people, and the people who bought the job, like going to the market, buying potato or brinjal. This is the way the services were bought on payment. What the morality would remain to the students? They will say that my teacher can buy the job by paying money. Why should I go and read? It's better let me learn the mechanism of buying everything. Therefore, the intention was to spoil the entire education system, to demoralize the entire community and have a strength in favor of all illegal activities. That's the way the fascist rulers move. And this is one of the step.
So nobody is supporting tainted candidates. In fact, the people are sloganing against the Minister of the State using the phrase chore. But sir, at the same time, have you seen the tears of the qualified candidates who have lost their job? They have their children in their home. They have the elder members in their home. What will
This is a wrong narrative, I say, and the sentiment is sought to be generated. Some people are always affected because of the corrupt practice. Justice Ganguly has quoted the Honorable Supreme Court judgment, referred to the division judgment. If something is vitiated with fraud, therefore it does not have any legal existence from the day one, it's void. The entire system, I give you details which will not come here. The appointment of the agency for WMR
Yes.
printing and the WMR selection was a fraud. We have demonstrated it. The government known agencies were left out on a false plea. And this particular agency was appointed, and surprisingly, their agent was sitting in the room where the selection was going on allegedly and handed over the appointment on the very same day. Therefore, this is also finding of the court. From the day one, you had planned that we will manipulate entire selection process and to give job to my own choice. And the ministers have then very openly vowed that why should I not give job to my cadres? The government job, you see, you must remember that we are in a constitutional democracy. We are not in an autocracy. We have to be very faithful to the principles of constitution, particularly Article 14 and 16. Justice Ganguly will elaborate it more. But this was my fundamental argument before the court. To forget about everything. The constitutional court must have to avail the principles of constitution, which has been referred to by the Honorable Supreme Court also, that Article
Yes.
14, 16 is more important. Therefore, these sentiments are always there, but you must remember that for larger benefit, you may have to sacrifice some smaller things at some point of time.
Sir, there is no dispute that selection process is tainted. There is no dispute that the person whose names were not there in the panel have been given appointment. There is no dispute that person who has given submitted blank OMR sheet, they have been given appointment. All these are theirs. But at the same time, there are poor people in our West Bengal. They have come from the farmers' family, laborers' family. They have educated themselves to get a job. All of them are not tainted. There are qualified candidates. People will follow them in the village. That some of them from the village, they have after being qualified, as given appointment, now teaching in a school. Now, sir, what will happen to the society? What will be
If you are asking me that question, I would say the Supreme Court judgment has provided for them. In the sense that those who are not specifically tainted, the Supreme Court has said this specifically in its judgment, I think towards the end, they should be given an opportunity to again appear
Yes.
and qualify themselves.
But they have to go through again that rigorous process of selection.
So that they can't be helped. Similarly, candidates who are not specifically tainted will be eligible to participate with appropriate age relaxation in an opinion. And so they will be able to participate in the selection process. In such a direction would be just and fair. And you would allow these candidates to take part in fresh selection process, we should now be initiated to fill in the vacancies. Supreme Court has not completely denied them any chance to get a job.
But sir,
Because
they
you
will
see,
not be
I'll
compensated.
explain to you, as Mr. Bhattacharya very correctly emphasized on Article 14 and especially Article 16. What is Article 16? Article 16 says every citizen of India has an equal opportunity in the employment or appointment under the state. Employment and appointment under the state is something which Supreme Court has described as a national wealth. And every citizen of India who is qualified, because every such appointment requires some qualification, some criteria, you should have this degree, that degree, this percentage of mark, they are entitled to qualify. Then what will happen to this the constitutional promise. Our constitution stands on certain morality. One of them is that in appointment or under the state, every citizen of India has an equal opportunity to apply, and their merit will be judged impartially. That has been totally compromised here. Totally. The state government has totally failed to discharge its constitutional obligation. Nobody is looking into that. The state, when the state is, this government assumes power, they take an oath. The first oath which they take before they assume power is that they will abide by and uphold the constitution. What will happen to that oath? This oath is not a matter of a joke. This is how they should function in a
Now,
democracy.
sir, the person who has taken oath has violated his own oath.
Yes,
Now,
they
I
are
have no
completely, that today, see Mr. Samim, you consider these principles were framed, these principles emanated after a long
deliberations.
struggle, sacrifice by our freedom fighters.
Right.
Our constitution is a result of our freedom movement, that you must know. I don't want to go to history, that will take a long time. So after a long drawn fight, this has been evolved, these principles. Now you give the principles a total go by. And when the court wants you to protect these principles, as the court's duty is to protect the constitution and the fundamental right of the citizens, think of those persons who have not been allowed to compete fairly. You are thinking of those persons who have lost their job. What about those hundreds of thousands of persons who have sat for the examination, but they were not given a chance to have their merits properly evaluated? They have to seek for an examination which is just an eyewash. What happens to them? They are also citizens of this
about
country.
22 lakhs.
Yes.
As I say, the silent majority is ignored. We are really shedding tears for 24,000, something like that.
But they have been given a chance. Those who are absolutely tainted, they have to give back their remuneration because they have not got anything. They have no right under the law.
So Justice Ganguly was saying about constitutional morality. Now, those tainted candidates, if allowed to continue with us in their service, these teachers, they will teach their students.
What will they
will learn.
teach? Yes. What will they teach? What will they teach? You see, great teachers like Swami Vivekananda, Rabindranath Tagore, everybody said that it is the personality of the teacher which is transmitted to the student. It is through the personality of the teacher that the student learns. You can only teach provided you have that ability, mental faculty, moral stand to teach. What will a person teach who has got the job by on the basis of blank OMR sheet without appearing in the test, whose rank was much lower, who jumped and got the appointment by sheer unfair means? What will he teach? Can you accept him as a teacher? It is a cancer in the society.
I think, sir, father, one important point. Everybody is saying the genuine. Who is going to identify who is genuine, which is not? Who is going to say that he is tainted, she is not? What is the mechanism to find out?
State has to.
In what way? If the entire process initiates with the corrupt practice, then the entire product is corrupted. Therefore, you cannot identify, you cannot say definitely with confidence that she is not tainted, but he is tainted. How can you say this? That's why nobody could say with confidence that XYZ is non-tainted, ABC is tainted. If you follow the proceedings before the Division Bench, High Court, Calcutta, Justice Bashak repeatedly asked the School Service Commission, file your affidavit. They could not. And in fact,
they did not.
No, they could not. Did not. How would you?
Because Supreme Court has said.
If I put this bunch of biscuit, which is found to be created out of a polluted machine, which one you will identify? This is not what's for taken in. Is what's for edible or not edible? How you say?
I give you that example. The Supreme Court has observed in its judgment that SSC has filed several affidavits before the High Court as well as written notes before the Supreme Court. Now, in High Court, SSC has disclosed that there are tainted candidates.
No.
And they have said that
They could
these
not
people
be-
were not in the list, have been given appointment,
That is the basic theory or the area of corruption.
area of corruption. And they have given a list
but
also.
they could not say that we have identified XYZ, they are definitely tainted and ABC not tainted. And nowhere in affidavit. None have come forward to claim by an affidavit that I am not tainted. Everybody says, I am genuine, he is tainted, she is not. Identify. How? The court-
Now, these authorities of the state who are bound to ensure rule of law of the state, now if they place fraud on the people,
Yes, therefore the duty of the people is to look at the state from that angle, that the state really plays fraud on us. But not claiming that though there is fraud, yet give me the benefit. This is another opportunistic stand that will ultimately encourage corruption. That's my way of looking at the thing.
now sir, my question is to you that these are political executives, they were elected, now they are to ensure rule of law, they have taken oath of constitution, now they are doing all this. Then what is the remedy to these people?
They are answerable to the people. This is the system of political democratic set up in our constitution. There is a collective responsibility of the entire cabinet, and they are answerable to the people. People can today raise questions. Why should we face such a tainted selection procedure at the instance of the state? Why? And after that, some state executive, some minister is trying to show compassion. What is the good of compassion after you have completely ruined the system? Completely ruined the system. I think Mr. Bhattacharya said 22 lakhs of people sat for this examination. Such is the state of unemployment in this our state. And out of 22 lakhs people, what about those people whose merits were never evaluated, never judged? Because this corrupt system cannot judge it. Why should these people of West Bengal be subjected to such a corrupt process of selection? The state must answer. State and its minister must answer. This is democracy. People will ask questions. They cannot divert the attention to Mr. Bikash Bhattacharya or somebody else who fought for these candidates.
Now, sir, again, we have to depend on this system only because Supreme Court has directed the commission to
No, that
conduct selections
system
afresh.
that system should be properly monitored by court. Something should be done to safeguard the system.
So we have heard that people are saying that the ministers of the states has given a statement through their political workers that they have to keep silent to ensure their appointment in future. You were saying that you have to exercise your right under constitution. The people have to exercise. Now these people are being threatened indirectly that if you raise your voice, you will not get the appointment despite being a qualified candidate, despite being a better candidate, better qualified
The
candidate.
fight has to go on. You see, if you cow down to threats and these illegalities and fraudulent manipulation, then the truth will never come out. Now, because this truth has come out today the truth is as good as clear as anything that the selection process initiated by the state was fraudulent. There's no getting away from it, and this has come out only because of a fight, only because of a protest, not because of compromise, not because of surrender. Now, we should not give up the area of protest. We should not succumb to anybody's threat. If anybody has said this, you must come out openly.
So, Minister of the State has taken a decision for creation of supernumerary post.
Absolutely.
That
will
Supreme
take
Court,
judgment on-
Supreme Court will deliver its verdict on it.
The concept of supernumerary post is completely different.
Yes.
Supernumerary post is created when there is a specified number in a cadre, but accidentally somebody enters into the cadre which exceeds the number. Then to save his job,
One or two. It
save
can't-
his
it
job.
can't be-
This is a judicial decision. To save the job, you create a supernumerary post that is personal to the person. Now here you are creating new vacancies, which is not supernumerary.
It's a welfare measure to accommodate the qualified candidates.
No. This is an indirect way of another way of illegality.
Welfare
Let
measures.
us see what the Supreme Court say on 8th.
So,
We'll have
we
to wait.
need to deliver a judgment on
Yes,
this.
we have to wait till 8th.
Right. Now see, welfare, I give a very crude example. Now then a rapist, his family would come, if I have committed mistake, I have done things, but what would my family survive? This is also then the human consideration. The concept of human consideration is misutilized to such an extent that people are encouraged to commit crime, then saying that yes, on human consideration we take care of your family. This is all rubbish. And this nonsense attitude is being spread through, which again creates immorality in the society. Therefore, we have to be very careful. As we say that,
Crime cannot lead to welfare. Fraud cannot lead to welfare. You commit fraud, you completely.
So, it's a decision of the cabinet.
that's
Maybe,
fraud.
but Divisional Cabinet is not beyond challenge. You completely destroy a system and then you say it is welfare.
They are people say they know better than us what is the welfare of the people of West Bengal.
Who say that they know better than everybody else?
Because they are the elected
They-
representative.
doesn't
You are
matter.
not the elected representative.
What you are saying, the elected representatives are elected with the promise that they will carry out the constitutional obligation. When they do not carry out, the duty of the people is to throw them out. It is the duty of the
next election.
it has to be entire society to get together and fight out. Otherwise, these immoralities and corrupt practices will become the order of the time, order of the day, which is dangerous for the society. Then everybody will say, I don't have to work hard, I don't have to get my merit, I will take course of corrupt practice. And that's the end of the game. That cannot be.
And I will become a teacher by a corrupt
Correct.
practice.
And then
Look at this. Look at the absurdity of a claim. He wants to become a teacher by corrupt means.
Future of the society.
Yes. And he wants to teach. Who is going to teach? A corrupt man who has come through corruption.
The last question would be, sir, these candidates did not have any fault, particularly those qualified candidates. Now, those who has done this offence, what would happen to them? How they will be punished?
they are facing criminal proceedings. The minister is
will go on.
behind the bar. But that's the system. All the education authorities, officials are behind the bar. Therefore, they are also facing the proper legal action which is required to be done under the law.
Chief Minister has said, I know who has done this and from which districts these people has come.
Then the chief minister admits that she knows who has committed crime, still doesn't take action. This is also a criminal offence. The chief
Do you think
minister
that
is,
investigating authority will take care
you
of
see,
this?
if today the honorable judges have taken oath, they find clearly that these are the violation of law. Still, they do not take action. We accuse the judge that you have done so not correctly and you have failed to discharge your responsibility. If the chief minister, being the representative of the people, maintains silence and encourages the corrupt practice, then it is the obligation of the people to take care of it.
Sir, this investigation by CBI, our experience is very poor. That this investigation will go on and nobody will be punished. That's our experience.
No,
What
CBI
is-
should expedite. Everybody wants it to do things properly. They should expedite. In the name of CBI investigation, people cannot wait forever, for years. This will explode. The people's anger and frustration will one day explode. That the CBI should realize.
So we have seen Sarda case, we have seen Narada case, we have seen
Yes,
this
we are
education
very
scam case.
dissatisfied. We are very dissatisfied with the pace of investigation. Despite
Even in
court
recent
order,
Arjikar
despite
incident,
court
CBI is
order,
investigating,
let
has
us
done
not
nothing.
let us mix up Arjikar with this. No, but whatever is this, CBI has to, as an investigating agency, it has to redeem its reputation.
My first question was to Mr. Bhattacharya was that people are accusing you, but we have heard from Mr. Justice Ganguly, retired judge of the Supreme Court, that if there is fraud, then it vitiates the entire process. Therefore, the judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court is justified in these facts and circumstances. With this, we conclude our program.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with the latest incidents. Hit the bell icon to never miss an update. We will see you next time with more news that matters. Stay informed, stay safe.